Welcome back everyone to Catherine's Plates. I'm Catherine, your host. Right back behind me I have pork chops and applesauce in the crock pot. It's almost done and I'm going to be finishing that off with whole pieces of apple that I'm going to core right here. I want to show you how I got to this step right here. It is so delicious. It smells amazing. So come along with me. Grab some delicious apples, and I'm going to tell you right now that there's Granny Smith apples in there right now for the applesauce, and then I have Honeycrisp right here that I'm going to finish the dish off with. Let's go! We're going to start with these pork chops. Now these are center loin cut, and they're about 1 inch thick, and I have 7 of them here on the plate because these will make some good leftovers. So what we're going to do is dredge these with a flour mixture and then start searing them. So let me show you how I make the dredge for these. We're going to start by taking 1 cup of flour and just putting it into a narrow dish, kind of like a pie plate. Now we don't have to scrape off or even out the flour as we put that into a bowl. I'm going to add in half a teaspoon of salt. Definitely going to add in half a teaspoon of some black pepper, paprika. Now this is a smoked paprika. Just add some flavor. It'll give it a nice color also. Some garlic powder. Now I put in 1 teaspoon of paprika. Put in half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Half a teaspoon of onion powder. Just going to whisk this together until it's well blended. Now you can adjust these seasonings, put whatever you want in there. I'm going to use a very large skillet and over medium-high heat. I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of some cooking oil, 1 tablespoon of some butter. Get that melting. We want to get this nice and hot, so you'll hear the sizzle, and then that's when we'll start dredging our pork chops. I'm just going to take 1 of my pork chops, place it into the flour mixture, pat it down really good, and then I'm going to start placing them into my hot skillet. There we go. We're going to let these sit for about 3 to 4 minutes until they get nice and browned and crisp on the bottom side. That's what's going to give it a lot of delicious flavor. Coat them really good because the flour on the pork chops will make a nice gravy and it'll thicken our sauce. We're going to cook these an additional 3 to 4 minutes on the back side here, so they're nice and golden. I'm going to remove the pork chops and place them into my crock pot that I lightly sprayed with some cooking spray. We got 2 onions and 2 Granny Smith apples. Now these are pretty large, so if you're using small ones, then you can do more than 2 apples. I'm just going to chop these up in big pieces because they're going to low and slow all day. I'm just going to cut them in half and then just kind of rough chop them. Take the apple. Now I've already washed and dried off the apple, so I'm just going to go down the 4 sides. And then more of the sides, just for a fast cut here. I'm leaving the peel on. If you want to peel yours, you can peel it. They'll soften up really good in the crock pot. I'm just going to rough cut these into big pieces. Now you can use any apple you want, as long as it's a baking apple. Now I made apple fritters for you the other day, so go check that out if you haven't seen that video. My husband and I made those. These will soften way down, so you know, put your apples in. All right, now what I'm going to do, saute these up in the pan and give them some nice flavor. Okay, I'm going to turn my pan back on. It's still got all of that flavor from the pork chops in it, so what we're going to do is add 2 more tablespoons of butter. Just going to add a little bit more oil, and then I'm going to place all of the apples and onions in. I'm going to stir these around, start browning the apples and the onions. All flavor, you guys, layers of flavor. We're kind of making the sauce. So I have some Dijon mustard, about 1 tablespoon. We're going to mimic the flavors that we used for the pork chops. So we're going to put in about ½ teaspoon of salt, ½ teaspoon of black pepper, ½ teaspoon of garlic powder, ½ teaspoon of onion powder, about 3/4 teaspoon of paprika. I'm going to stir this all together while the apples are still browning. Oh, look at the color. I'm going to put my heat up on high. I'm going to add in 2 cups of chicken broth, which is half of this box. I'm just going to bring this to a boil while we add in some parsley flakes, about 2 tablespoons. This is a wonderful fall dish, you guys. If you're looking for a recipe for pork chops, here it is. I have lots of other recipes for pork chops. I'll link them down below in the description box. Now, if you can't find them there, just go to my website, catherinesplates.com. Just search for pork chops, and a lot of them will come up. All right, we've got a simmer going on. We're going to go ahead and pour this over the pork chops. Turn off your heat. And just remember, the flour on the pork chops will thicken this sauce up. Let's put a lid on. We're going to cook this on high for about 4 hours, or you can cook it on low between 6 to 8 hours. You want to check your pork chops and make sure they're very tender and cooked through. See, this is what you do when your husband comes in the kitchen for coffee.
Yeah.
Big
mistake there.
What? Nah, he was happy to help. All right, we're gonna take the core away, and these are the apples that I'm gonna be using to put into our crock pot about 30 to 40 minutes beforehand.
Better when you do it once, swoop.
Woo, that apple juice went everywhere.
It did. In my eye.
All right,
Everywhere.
we're gonna take these apples over to the crock pot.
Oh, see, there's my other one.
All right, we're not gonna put those in the crock pot. We're gonna throw them away. It smells delicious, you guys. We're gonna start fall off with a delicious apple dish here. I'm looking around, there's the pork chop right there. Whoa, it's falling apart. That's good, look at that, right there, perfect. We're gonna put these apples in. Just gonna place them around. We still want the texture of the apples, so they'll be in about 30 minutes. That'll give me time to make some potatoes, some vegetables to go with this. These apples right here are my husband's favorite part of the pork chops. Now I like the apple sauce right here. These apples that are cooked down, the Granny Smith, oh yeah. I'm going to place a lid on it. I'm going to cook this down for another 30 minutes or until our apples are nice and tender the way that we want them. Here's my plate. I'm just kidding. I'm just showing y'all. All right, you can see that there's the applesauce on top of the pork chops, adding delicious flavor, and the onions. And we got those nice apples that I added at the back end, nice and soft. Oh my gosh, look how tender this pork chop is, y'all. Look at that. Right there. There's my bite. You can't do pork better than that in a crock pot. Ready for fall with this one here. Delicious apple. Okay, I'm pairing this. I've got some mashed potatoes back here and some green beans. All right, y'all let me know what you think of my pork chops and applesauce in the crock pot. Delicious. Give me a thumbs up. Make sure you comment down below if you're new to my channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And everyone, make sure that you are hitting the see all videos where that subscribe button is so that you are notified when all of my videos are posted. All right, I will see you on my next episode.